tonality, and these are kind of funny, and I am going to give you noises that go with them. I know, it's not going to be the same because you can't see my hand gestures, but that's okay. So this tonality makes you go, ah. It makes you have like this feeling of pride, like this fire. You're like, yes, that is so awesome. So with this tonality, they're like the Army commercials. You're like, yeah, go Army, go USA, we're so awesome. And IBM actually uses some of this as well. They're the commercials where they're like, I'm an IBMer. And you're like, yeah, you are. Go you. Look at that. You just connected people all around the world. That's very awesome. So they're using this tonality. This tonality makes you go, oh. So these are like the Google commercials where he's typing emails to his daughter who's a baby and she's growing up. It's so cute. It's so cute. I just love it. So go Google. Yeah. This is like any, okay, so infomercials tend to be this way. They go, yeah! Like, oh my goodness, Cindy Crawford is so cool. Look at her. Her face is beautiful. She doesn't have any wrinkles. She is amazing. Oh, and Deborah Messing, she's amazing too. And look at them. They're just together and they're so beautiful. You know, all the workout and diet stuff. You're like, this is so amazing. These people are so great. So that's their tonality. And then last but not least is, huh? And that's like, if you watch any football, which my husband is a huge football fan, we watch lots and lots of football at our house. Like, the majority of the commercials that you watch are going to make you go, huh? Like, they actually threw an apple at that guy's head. That's crazy. You know? And then some people go completely overboard, like Old Spice. What are they thinking? I don't even understand it, which means maybe I'm not in the target demographic, but they're the ones that kind of go, that is crazy. All right, so here's an example of the same concept written in two different tonalities. So the tonality on the left is your yay, right? So when we do website design for others, we make sure they don't stray too far from the yellow brick road. Now we need your help to keep us from being attacked by those darn flying monkeys. Versus, like this is the category, right? So when we do website design for others, we keep them on track, ensuring they reach their goals. Now we need your help to make sure we don't stray far from our original objectives. So in the second one, you notice the word goals, objectives, ensuring, on track. These are words that are pretty, they're much more formal and like businessy, right? Whereas the other side is a little bit more abstract. So what tonality will you use? Make sure to share that with everybody. So when we're policing our style, everybody here has had a textbook in their lives, I'm assuming. Our children may not have textbooks, but we have. And you know how to use a textbook, and if you don't use them now, you probably still use cookbooks, and you have to figure out where your recipes are somewhere. So a textbook organizes information with a table of contents, easily identifiable chapters, subtitles, and captions on images. Now a website organizes information with navigation, easily identifiable page titles, subtitles, and captions on images. So it's not that far off from a textbook. Textbooks must have something great going on. So you only have 3 to 5 seconds to hook your reader, which means that you're going to write like a textbook and use inverted pyramid to get the point across fast. When you do vocal storytelling, you tend to build interest. Oh, my goodness, you won't believe this. Oh, I have to tell you the story. This is so funny. And then you tell all the supporting details, and then bam, right? It's like telling a traditional joke. Whereas inverted pyramid is give them the punchline first, and then give them the supporting details. Whenever I start writing, I free flow, and I encourage everybody to do the same thing. So first I start off with an outline. I outline my content, make sure that I know what I'm going to write about, and then I just start to write. and I forgive myself, because it's not all going to make perfect sense. Don't get tied up on this one word, making sure that that verb is perfect or that adjective is perfect. You can go back and you can fix that later. It's okay. It doesn't matter if your punctuation is perfect. Just get it out. And the reason that I suggest to people to do that is because we just don't type fast enough. Our brains are, you've already got the second half of your paragraph written while you're still finishing up the first sentence. And if you're going to take time to monkey around with the verb, then you may have lost the next two sentences. So just get it all out first and then go back and edit. So I start out here. When you talk, you use all kinds of unnecessary words, or you add all kinds of unnecessary words into each sentence to get your point across. I know my brain clips along faster when I'm speaking than when I'm writing. When communicating with your audience, they probably won't read all the fluffy stuff in between. They just want you to get to the point. And then you edit it down. And look at how much bigger this text is and how much easier it is to read. All I had to say was, when speaking, you add extra words into each sentence unnecessarily. My brain clips along faster when I'm speaking than writing. Your audience doesn't want to read all the fluff, so get to the point. But I had to get it out first. So this is getting it out, and this is editing it down. Then go through and create visual hierarchy with text sizing and colors. So you bold your key information and break apart information into bulleted lists, and put captions with graphics, so that way you can emphasize the key elements. I tell people this all the time, and I know that not everybody, but a lot of people do this. When they're reading, when I read something online, first I read the subtitle, then I read the bulleted list. And if I think what's in the bulleted list was cool, then I'll read the paragraph above it. So if you're going to put everything in paragraphs, you can pretty much bet that people aren't going to read it. Go ahead and break it into bulleted lists and put some subtitles in there. So when you're writing, your blog post should be 250 to 300 words, less than 500. And if you find, 500 words, that's like a Word document and a half, sometimes two, depending upon what your point size and spacing and everything is. So that's a lot of content. And by the time you get it into bulleted lists and put subtitles in there, you've got a lot of stuff on that page. And you just don't have that long to keep your audience. So break it down into logical parts and make a series of entries instead of having a book in just one entry. You'll get more for your money that way. This also applies to e-newsletters. So keep your paragraphs short in 3 to 5 sentences, break them up with subheadings so that way people can skim like me, and delete everything that you don't need. All right, so with your email newsletter, you're going to try to keep it short and sweet. Put the very best content in there, and then link to everything else on your website. Take them back to your marketing zone. For Twitter, you have a much shorter post. You don't have as much space. They cap you at 140 characters. So making sure that you keep that short and sweet. Understanding who your Twitter audience is. My Twitter audience is not the same as my Facebook audience, so I say things differently on each medium. And then on Facebook, I usually tend to get a little bit more conversational than on Twitter, because I can use more characters because of the way that they allow you to link to things. Still, don't make it too long. With Facebook, if you're a business and you're posting as a business, you're going to want to make sure that you have a link or a picture in pretty much every post, because Facebook actually doesn't reward you for posting just words as a business. It will push you way down their newsfeed, your viewers' newsfeeds. So there's different styles of email newsletters that you might consider. If you have a number of articles that you've written and you want to send just one email newsletter a month, the magazine style works really well. If you have a number of blog posts that you write every month and you just want to send out one topic per email, you might use your medium length copy. You want to ask people to go to the site for more. You might give them a little bit more information and a bigger picture. And then your single topic, I use this pretty much only for administrative purposes with people that I really know. So I would use this if I had a policy change, a billing change, something like that that needed to go out to all my clients. But I generally don't use it for marketing purposes because I really want people to go back to my website. So how often do you need to post things, right? All right, so we've got Facebook, Twitter, blog, email marketing. Let's start on Twitter. We'll go back up to Facebook. Twitter, you can post as many times as you want. Say things in a different way each time. Include a link. You're totally good to go. With your blog, I suggest that people, if you're blogging to generate traffic back to your website, you need to blog at least twice a month. Okay? Now, if you want better results, if you want more expedited results, you're going to blog even more. And if you need to talk to us at some point to learn specifically how much you feel like you need to blog to get your results that you need for your business or organization, then let me know and we can have a discussion about that. So, email marketing. If you send one email a month, your open rates will be higher than if you send 2 emails a month. And if you send 2, they'll be higher than if you send 3. And then at 5, it holds steady. And we, as a company, send 15 or more emails a month. So we understand that our open rates aren't going to be as high, but I also know that the people that I'm emailing are super busy, and they don't want to have to pick and choose from a huge list of topics, whether they're going to read something or not. So my demographic prefers to see one topic at a time. It's easier to focus for them. Whereas if you have a membership, you may have multiple things that you need to talk about in your email. So it all depends on who you're speaking to. Okay, so Facebook is different than some of the other things because Facebook's algorithm is a group of determinants, and we actually have this outlined in an ebook that you could check out if you're really interested in it. So the goal with Facebook is to balance quantity and quantity. You want to make sure that your content is good enough that people want to read it, but it needs to be frequent enough that it gets in front of them. The more that people interact with your content, the more that they like it and comment on it, the more you build your relationship with that person. That's how Facebook sees it. And so it would be more likely to show up on their newsfeed if they interact with your content more. But to get them to interact with your content, you have to make sure that it shows up, and it has to be good. So usually 1 to 2 times a day can be good on Facebook. All right, so title writing tips. I'm going to speed through the rest of this because we're running just a little bit behind. I apologize. All right, so making sure that your title is really reflective of the people who are reading your email or your post. So capitalizing the first letter of each word makes it very easy for people to recognize. If you don't want to capitalize the first letter of each word on the title of your posts or the subjects of your emails, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you are avoiding all caps, lots of exclamation points, help, percent off, reminder, special. All of those things make your email end up in their trash can. So, or not their trash can, in their junk mail, which means that they never even got the opportunity to open your email. So here's an example of ways that you can get titles. So I have those concerns that I wrote earlier from my buyer personas, and then I formatted them into questions. And now from those questions, I've got blog titles that specifically address them. And I'm going to do this bottom row here. So why would I blog? What are the benefits of blogging? So the benefits of blogging, why businesses do it and why you should too. And then the second one that I read here, why blogging is like running for small business owners. I put stars next to that because I thought, oh my goodness, I have lots of business owners who run. I never even thought about that. Like, there are lots of business owners who run. These people took into consideration that, this is not my blog here, but they took into consideration that a lot of business owners run and that they'd probably have an affinity with a blog post that's about running. And my best read blog post last month was what we can learn about marketing from the Broncos' epic Super Bowl fail, right? So I took something that was a timely piece that was relevant to a lot of the readers who watched that sad game and turned it into something that could teach us about marketing. Okay, so question here. Adjustment factors for age demographics. Can you be specific, Steve? What type of adjustment factors? Because I didn't catch that until just a second ago. Okay. As he's answering that, I'm going to move forward. So, frequency of postings. All right. That is a good question. And I actually don't have an answer for that. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. If there's a difference between frequency of posting to reach people in different age demographics. Okay, what's happening right now is there's a light bulb going off in the back of my head that's telling me I need to research this and write a blog post about it. So I will use this. Thank you, Steve, for an opportunity to learn about this. And as soon as I have a blog post about it, I will tell you it's out there. Okay, so just looking at how to format these posts. I'm a designer at heart, and so this is how I would look at this post if I were laying it out. Of course, it's got a big picture. And when you look at this post right now, you're just like, wow, there is so much stuff here. But it's really not that long. It seems like so much stuff. So you can reformat it. And this feels a little bit better just right off the bat, right? We've got bulleted list, title. So we're improving. And then this one, I would actually probably read this now because there's bolded words, everything's spaced out. I love spacing. and I feel like I'm not overwhelmed. Even though it's the exact same amount of content and it's actually longer, I just don't feel as overwhelmed when I read this. And so this is what my sketch of this particular layout looks like. And you can see that there are definite key areas, 3 key areas in my sketch that I'm looking at here. All right, so if you are the person who is going to be editing all of your own work, I would say save your document, close it, walk away from it, come back the next day, and then do these tests. Close your eyes, open them. What do you see first? Be objective. Do you know where to click? Did you remember to put your contact information on it? I know, but people forget it every day. And also, as somebody who reads and edits a lot of blog posts, I find that a lot of inconsistencies can happen in punctuation and capitalization of bulleted lists and subtitles. So maybe you just give yourself a guide on how all bulleted lists and subtitles should be formatted across the board for your organization to keep everything consistent. And what I mean by that is there going to be a period at the end of the sentence? When? Why? Is there a capital letter at the very beginning of the bullet? Why? When? So keeping that all consistent. And then spell check. Read it out loud. I know it sounds crazy, but you're going to catch some really weird things when you read it out loud. I can't tell you the number of times that I have work come across my desk and I'm reading it and I'm like, there's no way they read this out loud because it doesn't make any sense to me. And so I just send it back to them and I'm like, read this out loud. All right, and I encourage people to compose in Word, Microsoft Word, or a word processing program. It's not that it's going to catch everything, but it's going to catch a lot more than Facebook or or WordPress will for you. So, and And then always sending it to the proofing authorities in your process.